Hello and welcome to This Week in Gwent. Oh my God, what a beautiful episode is gonna be. We have Kamil Hesser Archimovich. Hello, Hesser. How are you?
Hey Buja, hey guys, how are you doing?
Dude, I am excited to have you because, like we were talking in the beginning, like we haven't really talked to you outside of like a tournament environment, just like you and me to sit down and kind of talk about what you do, how many languages you know, also debunk the things that people think that I am the person that knows all the languages. No, he is the person that knows all the languages. He writes the scripts for me. I read them in front of a microphone, and people think I know all the languages while I don't. He is the man that knows all the languages. So yeah, excited to have you, man.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting as well, and this is like the change of perspective too, because usually I'm the man, just working on some interviews with other people and working on Merchants of Novigrad with my man Weisenberg, and working with you guys during the tournaments, and
True
now
that.
I will be the one answering questions, and it's pretty exciting and terrifying as well, because usually, it's easier to prepare just the questions and wait for people to come up with the answers than up with the answers yourself.
No,
So yeah, it's
I think
fun. Yeah.
you're good at doing things on the go. I can remember a couple tournaments that we did together when you were like asking me for questions like before on Discord. Like it's almost close to the end. So if this guy wins, like, well, what are the questions? And I sometimes answer, sometimes I don't because I don't see
Yeah.
my because I have my notifications turned off on Discord, so I don't see it. And when I see it, we kind of go over them. But if we don't, you just kind of go YOLO, go on air and kind of answer everything. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
that's
awesome.
true.
It's really
It's
awesome.
like, improvising is part of translator's job. Sometimes you don't know what's going to be asked, or you just have to come up with something on the spot, and this is what I do sometimes.
Yeah, plus it's like interpretation on the go, right? On the go, you need to be coming up with words that kind of make sense. And like
That's right.
when you're a translator that needs to, do it in the same time. I think it's like is it consecutive translation or is it like it has this
Simultaneous.
simultaneous exactly translation.
Yeah.
So the one that you need to do it on the spot, that is like super difficult because you
Yeah.
think that a person said something, like you hear it, but you cannot like translate it word for word. You need to warp it so it makes sense in that language because the structure in that language can be totally different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You're just
incredible.
basically guessing like the second part of the sentence, right? After
Yeah,
hearing the first one. So
exactly.
it's a tough one. I don't like it, to be honest. I took part sometimes, a couple of times in stuff like this, but whenever I have a chance to decline this sort of translation, I do it because I prefer consecutive ones, or just the written ones, because they are
Hmm.
the easiest.
Yeah, the written ones, that you have more time to actually look into them and kind of decide how you want to translate it. So that's really
Yeah.
cool. But we'll get to all that. We'll get to also kind of your beginnings in Gwent, also how big of a fan you are of the Witcher universe and gaming. I think overall because I see you everywhere. We'll talk about your streaming, of course, because you do a lot of that. And yeah, cool. So we are moving on to our standard procedures for Twig. So we'll start with red news. And there was a little bit going on today. Not today, but this week. Today also, but this week mainly with Project Golden Necker. So that happened this week. We had an article from IGN. Oh man, it was really cool because it's been quite some time since we were approached by IGN, and we're actually approached by one of their newer journalists. So he came and cited that he saw pretty much what we did for the roadmap, and also that he watched the Flurza podcast, which I was very surprised about because I thought, apart from the Gwen community, nobody goes there. But this guy, Ryan Dinsdale, he contacted us, reached out, wanted some quotes. And to be honest, like straight up, full honesty, I did not tell him anything more apart from what was already said to the community. Like we just put everything together that we said to the community and pretty much, passed it on to him, with the exception of adding the Berserker art as kind of the new thing, right? And it made the news, and it was everywhere. I think it was the first time I also got contacted by Reuters to give a official confirmation that this is true, and that it's actually not a lie. So it was really awesome, really awesome. We were on Forbes. Paul Tassi was thinking that we're going to do NFTs. No, we're not going to do NFTs. So which is good. And yeah, I mean, totally crazy. And I think it's the beginning of something good when it comes to the project and learning more information about it. Hesser, do you have any ideas what it can be? I know you work closely with us, but we keep our secrets closer. So do you have any ideas what it is?
Well, honestly, it's hard to guess. I know that this is going to be some sort of a solo content, right? So I'm guessing maybe there is going to be, something like mercenaries from Hearthstone, but in the Witcher world or something like that. It's hard to guess. It's not going to be the Thronebreaker, right? So it's not an RPG. You're not going to move with your character around the map and play some games of Gwent with the NPCs. So I'm guessing it's more like the possibility of develop some sort of camp, maybe your base, right, and then use some specific decks to play with the NPCs, with like more on the spot battles, something like this. But yeah, it's anybody's guess at this point.
Interesting take. Of course, I cannot say anything more, but yeah, it's good to really see. Because like I said, I also mentioned this on the Flurza podcast, aka the old Flick Miri podcast. That that I think some people already like pretty much guessed what it is or are very close to guessing what it is. So hopefully, time will tell, and we will see who was right, who was wrong, who had it right straight from the beginning. But yeah, I'm super excited because development on the project is going super well. I just can't wait to share more news with you guys. But yeah, I won't say anything more because I don't want to by mistake leak or spoil anything, right? That would not be fun. Moving on. New journey begins in 3 days. So almost 4 days. So it will happen on a Tuesday. On Tuesday we will have the update 10.2 with journey happening out that day. So on Monday we'll have the patch notes plus the developer updates, which I recorded this week with Jean. It's around 28 minutes, if I remember correctly. So that video will go live on Monday with the patch notes. So get ready for that. And there's going to be a new journey. And I already saw some people trying to guess what it is. There's more misses than hits when it comes to what it is. So I think, like, based off of what I saw today, there is like a 2-3% of people who guessed it right. So,
Oh wow.
So
that's not a lot.
So that's not a lot. Not a lot. But for those who did, you are. I mean, you see kind of the background. You see what it is. So based off of that, you might guess. But there's a lot of characters in that big city. So, Hesser, you have any ideas?
Not too much of a hint, actually. That background. I don't know. I was actually counting on Vilgefortz and thinking that this is like a safe bet, but probably not. Now that I see the background.
Yeah.
Because everybody was thinking that there is the model ready probably, and Vilgefortz is just the more obvious option. But yeah, this is probably someone else.
Yeah, I see chat trying to guess, but no. I don't know why people think it's a dwarf. I also don't know why people think it's Wild Hunt, because oh my god, it's Frost. It has to be Wild Hunt for sure. So yeah, I don't think no one has like figured out yet. So, and no, for those of you also guessing, it is not a journey that is tied to a map or any type of board journey like we did that once last year. This one is supposed to be tied to a character. So think of characters, and that is kind of the way you should be thinking about it. And the chat is saying they're getting close now, but I don't think so. So yeah, that happened, and we started Year of the Tiger on the 1st. We have some premium kegs, a brand new avatar title, meteorite powder, and all that stuff, and the prosperity pack that is available in the store. Check them out, because yeah, it's cool stuff.
Yeah, Chinese New Year, baby.
Yes, exactly. I like those. They always have a nice theme tied to us. For us, when we do New Year, it's just a countdown, and it's pretty much the same. People like you go like see watch it on TV. It's the same crappy like Polish singers every year that do the same music, or we take like a guy or girl from like the '90s and we transport them here. They play their old music, and that's our like whole celebration. Fireworks,
Yeah.
dogs and cats and all like home animals get scared, and that's New Year. While in China, they actually know how to do it. I mean, they have a theme, they stick to it, and I like it. And I like that the year always has some representation, and also the animal that is there kind of tells you what type of year you can expect. Like it all has lore tied to it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know your animal, by the way? What's your animal?
I don't know. I don't know my animal. I'm from, but it's from. Is it like zodiac signs?
It's connected to a year. It's like
Okay,
every 12 years, it's like the rotation of 12 animals in 12 years.
so I was born in '87, so I would have to check like what my Chinese
Shit, I don't
symbol is.
remember, but it might be dragon actually. I don't remember, but it might be it. And this
Chinese
is one
zodiac
of the best
symbol.
animals.
Year of the rabbit. I'm a rabbit.
Rabbit, all right.
Rabbit. Rabbit
Not
was
close to a
also,
dragon.
and Rabbit will also be next year. So Rabbit is gonna be next year, and it's gonna be my year. So yeah, 2023, here we come. Rabbit, I can live with that because yeah, I like to run fast like rabbits. So makes total sense.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Totally, totally. Cool. Moving on, community news. More stuff coming into the Gwent art contest. Like we're collecting submissions till the 8th, so they're gonna end next week. Same day as the patch. Coincidence? I think not. Submissions end at 2 p.m. CET. So if someone watching hasn't yet sent their art, that is the time for you to send in your work. So yeah, we just also learned that Ryan is Year of the Rat. I hope, Ryan, you're not a rat, because I've told you a lot of dirty secrets and stuff like that. So don't be a rat, be a friend. Snitches get stitches, as they say in Novigrad. So you better think about that. We have a lot of content coming from Heart and Wine. He is sending over a lot of deck text for decks that you would not play. Like maybe it's not your first choice when it comes to like laddering, but some of them are pretty cool. So triple bribery or triple C's in this deck. With Enslave, really, really cool. He also mentioned that after playing this deck, you will have to take a shower for sure. So yeah, haha. And we have some pixel art that was done originally by Silex, but this user from Reddit actually went and made it into a real thing. So added some paint in the background and created like a pixel art of Geralt Igni. Brought it to life, which is incredible. So
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
crazy.
Alex Powell is the name. Incredible. So, and he's thanking actually Silex for doing it. So yes, Silex, I learned your name. I was practicing. I know you're here. You're in chat. I was practicing. So actually got it right. We can celebrate. Yay! I got it right. So we're good. We're good. Yes. Um, what else? We launched the Florissa podcast. As every week, we're doing that together with Flake. Episode 3. This is actually because we learned from that. We learned from Marcius that episode 1, the pilot one, was actually episode 1. So yeah, we made it. We made it episode 3, talking about Golden Necker. The Babcia Marysia word of the week, Polish word of the week, super important one. And yeah, I think that was it. For those asking why is it so dark here, I'm playing with light and cameras to find a good solution that it's not too bright and it's not too dark. Now I'm somewhere in the middle, a little bit too dark. I want it a little bit lighter, but one day we will get it. Moving on.
Yeah, I actually told Buja that it looks really good here, and it's
Yeah.
like super quality. right now.
maybe it looks. Yeah, people are saying it looks mysterious, but a little bit too dark. I would maybe up it a little bit more, but not now because we have very important things to cover. So that's yeah, because it looks cold. That's supposed to look colder and more professional because the last one I did with Bane was like super light and it was like too light. So I'm trying to find like the perfect look for it. But that's enough about me. Let's move on. Two memes for today. Yeah, the golden Karak necker. Of course, this had to happen. This is an ongoing meme within the community. Karak guard being everywhere. I respect it. I support it. I love it because it's a meme. It's so easy. And then the other one, favorite targets for Morgvark. So I love the little Morgvark there. So, no, sorry, but I must turn see red. Yes, he's coming in. Yeah, yeah, pretty cool stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I think the Devil Driven should take this Karak Golden Necker right now and create the leveled version of it,
Yes.
just like with the Twitter
Yes.
Necker.
For those of you wondering what that is, actually, we have Devil Driven who is creating this challenge that he's making the head of the Golden Necker like bigger on his Twitter. So yeah, it's incredible. It's really cool. Devil Driven, he's an awesome dude. Hopefully he's watching this. So shout out to you, my friend, for creating awesome content and being part of the community. Speaking of being part of the community and creating awesome content, Hesser, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what's with all the languages that you know? It's like, how many languages do you know, actually?
Well, it's hard to say actually. It's hard to define no, right? Because I have a passive knowledge of some languages. I can understand them, just like for example, German and Spanish.
Oh,
Pretty
okay.
much understand a lot of it, but I don't speak them that well. I had German and Spanish at school, at some point in the secondary school, and in high school. Then I abandoned it, and it's in the past. I still have my passive knowledge, and I would like to develop it a bit more, especially Spanish, because we are seeing some Spanish people here in tournaments as well, right? So it would be cool to have another skill in set and start translating for Spanish guys as well instead of
Ooh.
Panda. That would be nice.
Nice. This was actually
Yeah.
a question in chat that do you know Spanish? I think it was asked also by Epic. So you actually do.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I'm working on it. I'm working
Hmm.
on it so that I'm able to, translate actually. But passively, yeah, I got a pretty good knowledge of that.
That's
I
pretty
was also
cool.
think I was thinking about actually passing the exam,
The
uh,
certificate?
after the high school, right?
Ah,
There's
okay.
this exam in Poland, right? It's called Matura, right? And I was
Hmm.
thinking about passing Matura in Spanish, but after some time I abandoned this idea. But yeah, so I was pretty good in high school at Spanish, but now, time flies, and with the years, the knowledge of languages actually disappears at some point. I'm pretty sure that you had German classes as well at school, but I don't know how is
For
your German right now, but
for me, it wasn't German. For me, it was also Spanish, but
oh,
I don't recall almost anything from
sweet.
Spanish, to be honest. Yeah, yeah. Like I know like the basics, and I can more or less like read and comprehend. And also, I think when I've been to like both Barcelona and Madrid, like those were the two ones that the countries that I think Barcelona specifically was like I went to get a sandwich and nobody was speaking like any English. So you had to like
Yeah,
yeah, un bocadillo, por favor, and it worked, right? Right, and
yeah,
he got it, and like cafe is cafe con leche if you want it with milk and stuff like that. So the basics, I pretty much, I'm getting those right, and I was able to order those things. But apart from that, if you go to Spain and if you don't know the language, well, you're pretty much, you can't really communicate with them. So I didn't know
yeah.
about
That's true.
Spanish. What about Chinese? When did you decide that you want to learn the language? Were you kind of like interested before in the culture, or did it just come as a natural thing because you wanted to learn the language because it's super difficult and hard for us, you know, normal European people?
Yeah, normal people. Yeah, the thing is that it was pretty random actually because I was thinking about getting a second degree. I was living at that time in Russia, and we were with my wife actually considering, some other degree. And I was asking, what do you think if I, for example, go for something like, some exotic language like
Mm-hmm.
Japanese or Chinese? Because I thought that if I'm not gonna learn any of those languages, I'm gonna just regret it later on because they're just pretty cool, and Asia in general is so rich culturally
Oh
that
yeah.
I wanted to explore that in some way, right? And actually, my choice was Chinese because the closest university that was actually teaching any of those Asian languages was Gdańsk University in Poland,
Mm-hmm.
and they only had Chinese at that time, and it had to be the weekend studies as well because I was working full time in Russia. So my plan was to travel from Russia for the weekends to Gdańsk and going back afterwards.
Ooh.
And it was like super hard. I remember that time being like extremely exhausting for me because I had like full-time job plus 8 to 5, 8 to 6 classes during the weekends, and I was absolutely destroyed after that. But it was worth it. It was worth it definitely. I mean, quality wise, maybe it wasn't like mm, comparable to to like daily studies,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still pretty okay. And I knew that I have to go to Asia anyways, after finishing that degree because it's impossible to know the to learn the Asian language only during the studies and living in another country. You have to go there and explore that and speak to
Yeah.
the natives. So I did that after some time,
It's
and
crazy.
yeah,
Nice.
and it is what it is now.
I admire the commitment because to be quite frank, like we had because we of course we have some people that work on Gwent that are from China, of course, and we worked with Gaia also, and we still work with them. And when we were starting the cooperation, we had an idea. It was just before the pandemic that we introduced like at work additional classes that were supposed to teach employees that wanted to learn Chinese. And I started going to those classes out of just simple interest because, as you probably know or don't know, like I also have a background in linguistics, but it's mainly like it was always English focused. So for this one, I was like, okay, I want to learn a completely different language. And we had like 3 classes, and then the pandemic hit and it was out. So I was like,
Ah,
oh
dang.
man. But, learning, this language is like super difficult. Like the learning curve when you get into it is super difficult. So I admire that you were able to do it. And I also feel like the best way to actually, learn and kind of sustain a language is in a way where you actually get to go to the place where people speak the language, learn about the
Oh yeah,
culture, and actually use it in that environment and kind of see how people speak. Because like we learn Spanish, for example, in school, but if you go to Spain and you see how people speak there, they speak super fast. They speak a lot of slang,
yeah.
which for us is like, well, I don't remember that word. I don't have it in my notes, right? So it's something totally different. But yeah, huge kudos for that. So Russian, you kind of learned while you were at Russia, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So.
I mean, that was like that was something that I had with my family as well because
Mm-hmm.
my family is originally from those parts of the world as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because my grandparents were actually moved from those parts of Soviet Union that are now Belarus,
Mm-hmm.
and they started to live in Wrocław, which is the southwest of Poland.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we had some people, some relatives coming from those parts to our city, and I've heard them. I didn't understand them, and then actually made me want to learn this language at some point because I wanted to explore that part of my family, and that was the main starters.
That's incredible. Yeah. So those 2 languages under your belt, and then English was kind of also something that you learned at school. Like, where did that one come from?
Yeah, well, English was something that come up naturally, I guess, nowadays, and I had some additional classes as well during primary school, and I had a pretty cool teacher that actually
Mm-hmm.
were trying um, to make an impact, some sort of impact, and give us, as much opportunity to learn the language, to explore the Anglo-Saxon culture as well. So it was pretty cool. I think that thanks to him, I managed to learn it at the level it is now. So yeah,
That's really cool.
I'm pretty grateful.
So you were always kind of drawn a little bit to learning languages, or did it just happen because of like you moving around and kind of being interested in it overall, or is it something that you when you were growing up were like I want to learn all the languages? How was it
I
for you?
mean, probably it wasn't like the main idea just to
Mm-hmm.
learn the languages, but I just wanted to, I'm a pretty curious. I have a lot of curiosity in me by nature, and I like discovering new stuff. So whenever I'm discovering something, and then trying to learn it, to study it, I want to get to the roots, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
roots are usually not in English or not in Polish for sure. So you have to know some languages to make it. I also remember, it's connected with gaming too, because when I started playing, most of games were in English, right? We
Yeah.
didn't have in Poland that much of a localization
Mm-hmm.
industry at that point,
That's
right?
true.
So, and I was a big fan of Nintendo games as well. So
Ooh.
when I bought my first Game Boy in the past, a lot of games were actually in German. So
Mm-hmm.
that was also something that made me want to learn another language, right? And then there was English, there was some sort of Japanese as well, but only some basics of it again, more of an anime Japanese, and yeah, and more in that direction, right? So gaming was also an incentive to learn languages for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I have a lot of friends and also relatives that kind of, they learned English through gaming, and it was also same. It was like I don't know, we were playing on 007 on Game Boy, for example. It was a really cool game at the time, and you travel around the world. You also learn a lot of languages. So, it was one of those things that, helped people and kids kind of develop while having fun, which is I think the main thing.
Yeah.
Since we're moving into gaming, like can you remember like your introduction to gaming for the first time? Was it actually a Game Boy, or did you start before that, or kind of what was your origin story when it comes to gaming?
Well, I think that it's actually hard to remember that, but I think that probably it was my friend's Amiga. That was
Ooh,
that console, pretty old stuff, and we were playing some. I actually don't remember the names of those games, but they were some pretty basic games for sure.
mm-hmm.
Then there was a first PC. I think that my father brought actually the first PC at home. I was playing some prehistoric, and I was playing some
Nice.
Mario and the Prince of Persia as well.
Prince of
And
Persia,
this
that
is
was good.
yeah, it was like probably something like 1994, 1995
Nice.
in those
I see
periods.
you're a man of culture when it comes to good old games and good stuff. What about The Witcher and the whole universe? Because I see that you're passionate about everything Witcher related.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Did you start with the books? Did you start with the games? Like, how did that happen for you?
Yeah, definitely the books because we at Poland had just a better access to the books.
Same for me.
Yeah. So we were able to read them. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was somewhere in school, probably in the secondary school,
Yeah, I think it's
and
in secondary. Like because it's like I mean, the Last Wish pretty much is the one that you start in school, and that one is fairly well, more or less fairly tame. But you need to be at a certain mindset. You can't be a kid to kind of get into that because
yeah,
I think I also now kind of when I think about the stories and when I reread some of the stuff, like it's totally different than how I
absolutely.
imagined it as a kid, like
Yeah.
or when I was younger. So yeah, yeah. But I also started from the books and then develop into the games. Did you play like all Witcher games one, two, three? Of course you
Yeah, I
did.
did. I did, and maybe not from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been some time, because I didn't have actually a PC to play on. So after I got myself a new laptop, I only finished The Witcher 3, and it was only probably just right before I moved to China for a while. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like 5 years ago or something. And yeah, so it was a bit later after the premiere. But yeah, I played all of them. I enjoyed them a lot. And yeah, I'm replaying them from time to time right now, even as well.
Okay, nice. What about Gwent? When did you first get into Gwent? Did you start off in beta, or was it a little bit later? Did you play like Gwent into Witcher 3 or no?
Not exactly. I didn't like it at the very beginning in The Witcher 3, and I
Same.
was passing all of those mini games, and it was just advancing with the story and exploration of the world. And but the story with the standalone Gwent is pretty funny because actually I had a friend who was involved in the design and art creation industry, and he had a friend who was working at CDPR at that time.
Okay.
And we've learned that there was a closed beta going on only for the employees, right? And that guy, he wasn't really interested in playing Gwent. So I asked my friend, okay, so let's ask him. Maybe he's gonna just give me his account, and I'm just gonna play a bit, right? See what's going on because I was already interested in CCGs. And he agreed, right? So I was playing on
Nice.
his account at that point, right? So it was kind of semi-legal stuff of exploring the game.
It don't matter no more. Like it's been such a long time ago that it has already
Yeah.
passed. I think committing crimes of in gaming is kind of like has a very short year span, and then it's kind of gone, and everybody forgets about it. But that's really cool. It's good to know that someone was leaking stuff out of the studio, though.
Meanwhile, CDP are tracking the guy down, right? As we speak.
Nice, nice. So you actually started before everybody else kind of started, right? Into the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
That's incredible.
I,
That's really
I,
cool.
re- I really wanted to see, how is it going to relate to Hearthstone because I
Hmm.
was pretty active at that point in the Hearthstone community as well. I wasn't the OG, and I admired all of those people who were, devoted to the game from the very beginning, and I wanted to be one of those people for Gwent as well.
Hmm.
So that's why it made me, take those desperate measures, even semi-legal measures to getting
Nice.
the access to the game and starting from the very beginning, so that I have, the deep knowledge of the game.
So
And
Hearthstone was your like first CCG or not?
well, not really from the digital ones. Yeah,
Hmm.
it was,
But your
but
like very
from
very first one, what was it? I'm actually
the
interested.
very first one was, I guess that like most of people at CDPR and everywhere, it was MTG.
The
But
OG.
yeah, the OG of CCGs. So yeah, and I had a break as well, and this is something that I regret as well. Selling all of my collection. Same goes for World of Warcraft CCG because there was some
Hmm.
point I was playing World of Warcraft CCG and I was playing Pokemon as well CCG.
Good.
I sold all of this and now I'm regretting this immensely. This is awful. Whenever I think about it, it's
Yeah, I
super sad
mean
for me.
that's the thing about card games. Think of if you think about it now from the perspective that I'm like well over 30 already, so I'm kind of thinking about it like if I kept all the cards that I had back in the day, that would be awesome. But still,
Damn.
like what I'm doing right now is I'm keeping all my good cards or the most expensive cards, and having them because I know that they are in some way some type of investment, because most of
Yeah,
them will probably be worth a lot more in the next, I don't know, 10, 20 years easy. So like I
sure.
try to keep them. I also have like a PSA graded Charizard from the base set because I used to love Pokemon as a kid, and especially the card game, and more from the collection perspective than actually playing the thing. So I have that one. It's an 8 out of 10, so it's not perfect, but it's like near mint. So keeping that as maybe in a couple of years it'll pay the mortgage or something like that. So you never know.
It's already worth a lot, right? I
Yeah,
think
already
I don't know
worth
the
worth a couple thousand, so that's okay.
yeah,
That's okay.
there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
plus
thing.
plus whenever like Pokemon Company like has like a 30-year anniversary or something of the card game. Now it was 25. The thing skyrocketed. Plus you had people like, I don't know, Logan Paul like buying all the old booster boxes, and also some which were kind of counterfeit, and well, he lost a lot of money, like 3.5 million on them or something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I mean, he has the money to burn, let's say.
For
Yeah, they
sure.
were they were collecting them. I think because Logan Paul, like since we're talking about all these like YouTube celebrities, he was also like in one of the like MMA fights, because why not? Because they do everything now. It doesn't matter like
Yeah.
where you come from. You go into MMA because it's like fighting. He came out on ring like with a chain and like a Charizard card, and he got ripped, like really, really ripped for the fight. So I was like, see, nerds can become cool. It was like a statement. Although I'm not a big fan of him because there was a lot of controversy about him and kind of the
Yeah.
things that he was filming on his YouTube channel. But still, like, I feel like Pokemon is kind of going more into mainstream because it is kind of, everybody knows it. It's more accessible. Everybody plays the games. There's a lot of like, it's going into mass culture, while other card games, they kind of are still basementy. I see kind of that, MTG is trying to bring them out, also doing these collaborations with like Stranger Things, Lord of the Rings, all that stuff. So it's making the thing more accessible, let's say. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, CCGs can one day be the real thing, and I think people will see once we're going to be selling off our cards for thousands and thousands, and be like, ha ha ha, you thought we were the nerds back then, look who's the nerd now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you joined very very quickly into Gwent, and you stuck with it. Of course, you were moving from Hearthstone. What was the kind of thing that kind of hit you in the beginning when you started playing the very first like iteration of it? Because it's different. It doesn't have a mana system. Your
Yeah.
resources are the cards in your hand. Like, how did you enjoy that in the beginning?
Well, actually, I think that the thing that you mentioned, having no mana, was really impactful for the game and for the complexity in a positive way, obviously. And then I liked it because you had a lot of options. You didn't have to play on curve like in most of the CCGs or the digital games, right?
Yeah.
Digital CCGs, and you had a lot of solutions to come up with the winning conditions, right? And there were some cards that were not visible in some other games as well, just like the weather conditions, for instance. I love that. Weather is something that I
Yeah.
loved from the very beginning, and starting from the animation and finishing just at the way it works, right? The way it gives you another win condition, and I don't know, it's like super climatic. I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Especially that was broken back in the day, resetting everything to one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty OP at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that for sure, and obviously the rows, right? Because usually you have just the arena, and your opponent is just playing a card, you're playing a card, you're fighting, right? And basically that's it, right? The
Mm-hmm.
interaction was limited, and here with the expansion of the interactions, you have so many options, right? Basically, and some of the cards were obviously row bound,
Mm-hmm.
which was limiting the
Yeah.
interaction, right? But I think that was a good thing. But I see the reason why it's not here anymore, or it's limited, very limited nowadays. But yeah, that was another thing that I enjoyed. And I mean, those probably two, three things were the main reasons I stayed with Gwent, and I actually abandoned Hearthstone after quite a couple of years. I think like probably 3 or 4 years as well.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, we saw like there was this one point where there were a lot of players like migrating from Hearthstone to Gwent, and pretty much saying that yeah,
Yeah.
they like that the difference in gameplay plus the premium cards and kind of the art that we have in the game. They also, I think, enjoyed that. And I think also like the curve of getting into the game itself was a little bit easier than in Hearthstone,
Oh
because
yeah.
I tried Hearthstone once, and for me, like, just to get something that was semi-competitive was like super difficult. Like, to build a really good deck, like, you really had to grind the hell out of the game.
Yep.
And I have the same problem right now with MTG Arena. Like, I feel like I'm trying to progress and make good decks, but it's super difficult and takes a lot of time and a lot of commitment in order to do it. So we
Yeah.
got a lot of praise at the time for having like a very easy curve when it comes to just getting into the game.
Absolutely.
So you stuck with us. What was your favorite meta from the history of Gwent? Was it before Homecoming? Is it something after Homecoming? Like, what are the type of decks that you gravitate towards to?
So many metas, so many years. It's difficult to decide. But I like control decks. This is something I
Good.
enjoy playing from the very beginning in every game.
Same, same.
They are complex. They are satisfying because whenever you feel that I love the moment when you're feeling your opponent cannot do anything at
Yes.
this point anymore,
Yes.
right? And it's done, right? We are just playing for the sake of playing, but I've already won, right? I know
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I also love that about control. Like you get to a certain point where you feel
yeah,
like you've clenched the game, like you have full
yeah,
control right now. You know your opponent is not able to do anything. They might, of course, like surprise you with something, but
yeah,
as a control player, you need to not only know the cards and the deck that you're pretty much playing, you also need to know what your opponent is playing to know which things you need to counter. So I feel like
that's it.
as a control player, you need to know the meta a lot better than, let's say, a player that has, this cookie cutter deck that he knows, okay, I need to play these engines, I need these triggers, and that will win me the game, or I need to boost this one unit and play it and it will win me the game. While in control, you need to be always like, okay, I need to counter this because if I don't, it will get out of hand, and if this gets out of hand, that player will win. So yeah, that is also something that I like.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, probably a lot of people enjoy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially those who moved from Hearthstone to Gwent, because there was a point in Hearthstone where even as a control player, you were just not able to to get that feeling,
Yeah.
and at any point your opponent could throw something from the top deck and just destroy you right in a single turn, and that was something sad, and that actually made me move from the game to Gwent.
Yeah, yeah. I think also it's always for any balanced team is trying to find like the perfect balance between like aggro point slammy decks versus decks that can actually control and keep that under wraps. Like it's very difficult to find that like perfect balance where these can counteract each other, but it's always kind of been a back and forth between both control and aggro decks, which yeah, I feel like I could not only play one archetype, but when I think of the let's say not archetype but the type of deck that I always kind of gravitate towards too, it's control, because you like to be kind of controlling the matchup. I recently played also a version of Marak with, of course, all the bombs plus Scorch in it. So yeah, like I also like remember like the old meta with Villain, Threaten, Mirth, and Scorch and Igni. Like all the possibilities to burn cards that your opponent had was like
Yeah.
just super super good. And I know a lot of people hate it because a lot of people when they play a card game they like to stick to their plan and structure and actually fulfill it 100%, and then you have a control player coming in saying like no no no, that is not allowed.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, this
nice.
is it's like part of it also made me, enjoy playing Nilfgaard at the very beginning because that was absolutely new mechanics in CCGs, right? Revealing your opponent's cards and interacting with them. That was super cool, and it's pity it's not here anymore, but there is still a controlish aspect of Nilfgaard, so
Hmm.
so
Oh,
this is
this,
one of my favorite
yeah,
factions.
yeah. Nilfgaard is very controlly here, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think but there is also control like in deck manipulation. Like I like control in forms of like, setting up points for a big scorch. I always enjoy that because you need to really like think how you sequence your plays in order to get that, and also kind of control in terms of like things doing damage, like I don't know, purifying units, destroying units, stuff like that. Like these are kind of the things that I'm always drawn towards to. And also when I play other CCGs, I kind of control is like my first type of deck that I want to build, and then
Mhm.
I look for the point slammy, let's say, like aggro decks, which I know are kind of performing well in that meta. Then I always kind of check them out because once I know how to play that deck, I know how to control it better, right? And it makes
Exactly.
sense. Exactly.
Exactly. And the thing is also that if you want to build a control deck, it's usually a bit more expensive than the aggro deck. So it's you start with the aggro for sure. This is what I do with some other CCGs that appear on the market as well because I want to be up to date with the competition as well. So I check the other games. Let's not mention the names and I'm building some aggro decks at the beginning just to see what it's like, and then if it's possible, right? If it's actually possible to hoard some resources, then I'm building something controlly. But in most cases, it's not possible. Just as you mentioned, that barrier of entering the game and building some competitive decks in most of CCGs at the market right now is super hard.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a market that kind of goes back and forth. Like we've seen a lot of card games come into the market in recent years, and they kind of fell off very quickly.
Yeah.
While these were card games that there was a lot of kind of industry, let's say, hope kind of put behind it, and people were expecting like big things, but then they fell off, which kind of sucks because I kind of feel like also from my perspective, like, and probably also the same thing with your perspective. Like we've been playing CCGs for already quite some time, and they've been a part of our life, even if it was like before it was not digital. Now we have the possibility of to actually sit at home and play them. We don't need to go nowhere and do anything with regards to that. Like we can play from our phone or from our laptop and stuff like that. That it's actually cool to see the market thrive and kind of see different players come in and try different card games and try different mechanics, see how they balance their card games, for example, and where they're taking inspiration from. I think it's good, more or less. Like, of course, we have a limit in terms of the amount of card games we can play, but it's always cool to check them out and kind of see what's going on. Yeah.
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 And I mean, there are some interesting ideas as well that you could also use in Gwent at some point, and I'm pretty sure that the dev team is also watching this closely, right, and trying to get inspiration because it's natural, right? It's natural for every industry, and something, it's sometimes it's easier to improve something that you see than to come up with something new and to reinvent the wheel, right, as they say. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard just to find a different kind of perspective in terms of like how you play the card game, because most of them they focus on the mana system, the mana curve. It's a way to balance out the cards themselves. For
yeah.
us, we don't have mana, but we have provisions, so it kind of is like one of the balancing things that we use, and it makes sense. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of see like what's the different approach. But yeah, for us, it was always something to have something that came from The Witcher 3, but kind of build off of that aspect and kind of make it its own thing. What's your current like go to deck?
Well, nowadays I usually tend to grab some, wait for the metal to settle,
Mm-hmm.
and then as I'm in Gwendera team at the moment, actually in the Russian team,
Nice.
those guys are, creating something imbalanced from the very beginning, right at the very first day of the patch, and I'm just grabbing those decks and testing them out during the streams. So whatever is at the top of the tier list, I'm checking that once because I don't want to waste the time. I just want to get back to pro ASAP and then and then compete with the best.
Yeah, no
Uh,
meme decks, no wasting your time, just going for
well,
the straight up good stuff.
yeah, usually it's like that. I mean, I can check some memes if people ask me to during the streams, but I prefer good decks. I like winning. Probably most of people do like winning,
I
right?
think
So
anyone playing card games loves winning.
yeah. Yeah, so memeing is great because you can get something really satisfying and funny and whatnot. But winning is the stuff.
Yeah, yeah, winning is also fun, like Ryan just mentioned in chat. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Favorite Witcher character. It can be Gwent, it can be Witcher 3, it can be from the books.
Uh,
Who's the go-to number one?
I think that I'm gonna choose a positive and a negative one.
Ooh,
Let's
nice.
say.
Good and bad.
So yeah, the good one will probably be Regis.
Perfect choice.
I like Regis, and I've loved him
Same.
from the very beginning. From in the books, I felt that he was something unique
Mm-hmm.
in the world in the fantasy world and in general, right? I like the idea of the vampire, being like sort of good, right, and actually breaking the laws of his brethren's and
Exactly.
staying out of eating people, right, sucking
Sucking the
blood.
blood, yes.
Yeah, so that was great. That I loved the idea, and I liked him as a person in general.
Same.
I really like the depiction of him in the game because that was really close to what I thought of him at the very beginning.
I actually imagined him differently. When I first saw the concept art when I joined the company, I was surprised that's how Regis like looks like. I needed a minute for it to sink in, but then I looked at him and I was like, damn, it actually makes sense. It actually makes sense. Like I could see him looking like that.
Hmm.
And what's your antagonist? Like your favorite
The
antagonist?
antagonist. I think that Leo Bonhart was like, on the other
Ooh.
hand, on one hand, he's like, okay, he is like a, huge bastard, awful guy, right? But he has something badassy, there is some badassery with what he's doing and,
Yep.
killing the Witchers and wearing, their medallions. And that is something that I liked in the book as well. And I hated the guy for sure, but I also felt that, if I saw him, I would probably, have a feeling of something like, just being scared and admiring, the strength of the guy,
Yeah,
right?
and
So that,
also kind of like respect towards him, right? Although
yeah,
he like you said, he was a scumbag, but I mean, you get respect for the guy because he's not only talking about stuff, he's actually
yeah,
he's putting his money where his mouth is, pretty much. So yeah, I get that. I thought like a lot of people think like Kahir maybe because of like his transformation, like he's kind of antagonist to let's say kind of you see the character change through time, but yeah, Leo is a good one. People also like are drawn towards Vilgefortz because I mean
sure.
the if you're into almighty mages and kind of antagonist mages, and he makes sense. So although
Yeah,
I didn't like him because of what happened to Regis, so
exactly, exactly. That would be my choice as well. But no,
yeah,
for Regis, man, no way.
exactly. That's also when I hated him. From the games, I someone mentioned Gone to Redeem. I think Gone to Redeem was kind of like this very negative character, but you respected him also because he was like he is the devil. He is the the ultimate bad guy, and he did it in such a way with the pacts that he had with people. It was so good. It was like, oh, I love also when there's a lot of like flavor behind the character that you can eat up and
Sure.
enjoy. Yeah, and a lot of lore. Cool,
Yeah.
awesome. When it comes to your streaming, because you also stream, you play games on your stream. Like, what's your streaming schedule more or less, or what do you get into? Do you try like all the games that are coming out? Do you focus on Gwent? What's your kind of streaming schedule more or less, apart from you
Well,
being busy and working all the time?
yeah. I mean, yeah, the work is the hard part actually, and now apart from that, I have to work on my spine as well because I developed some nasty stuff over there. So I have to go to the gym and work on this.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I have my time is very limited nowadays for streaming, but I'm trying to stream at least twice a week. And it's mainly Gwent for sure because I'm pretty sure that most of the streamers are gonna agree that, whenever you're into some sort of community, it's really difficult to go into variety and start streaming a couple of games because people just usually watch, of course they watch the streamer, right? And they want some specific parts of the streamer, the parts of the personality, right?
Yeah.
The character traits
Hmm.
on one hand, but on the other hand, they want to watch the game as well, right? They
Exactly.
want to get better, for instance, if it's a CCG.
Yeah,
So, or they
it's
just,
the content that they're kind of drawn
yeah,
towards to, right? So you
yeah,
like you might like a streamer and his or her personality a lot, but you will not be drawn to it if they're playing a game that you like particularly are not interested in or you dislike. I think
yeah,
people watch card games specifically also because you either have a person who is playing something wacky or is playing something good and is very competitive, and you have a
yeah,
mixed bag of things going on. So nice. So you
yeah.
try to do it at least twice a week if your schedule lets you do it.
Yeah, and it's Gwent. Of course, I like to try some other games and then move into variety in a more expanded way, but it's difficult, as I say, because usually it's connected with some unfollows and really very few people watching you and very little interaction as well. And this is the main idea of streaming for me was just interaction with
Yeah.
other guys. and it's definitely not for the money. It's definitely not the career I want to pursue. I don't want to become a full-time streamer, because I mean I admire those people trying to, because this is a super hard
Super
job.
difficult, super
Yeah,
difficult. Yeah, you have to be on all the time and streaming for like multiple hours per day to actually make a living out of it. It's
yeah,
like a full-time job, but you're always
it
in
is.
front of a camera, always interacting, right? So
Yeah.
it's also taxing, like sitting so many hours in front of the computer and just playing.
Yeah, it's not only physically consuming, check my spine, but it's
Yeah,
also
mentally.
mentally consuming. And I can see, people, tweeting about their mental health as well. Just like the big guys from our community, just like Spessy, for instance, right?
Yeah,
Flake, and you can see those people being, having some issues. And this is common for everybody. I mean, just
yeah,
some people just don't talk about it, but it's everywhere, right? I had some ups and downs as well with my streaming, and thank God I have some other things to focus on as well, right? But if I didn't, then I
yeah.
would pretty much have some problems developed right now.
Yeah. I think it's the fact that not only you're like managing multiple things at once, but you're also kind of interacting with people, and you always need to be kind of upping your game just to
Yeah,
be a persona in front of the camera. That already is taxing like a
yeah,
lot on everything, and on like your personal life also, but also like trying to sustain it, and like because this is like, oh my god, this needs to like pay my bill, so I need to be always on everywhere. It's just gets to your mental health. But I feel like it's really cool that like you mentioned Flake, especially, like they were open about it and they started talking about it like
yeah,
openly. And I think that's kind of the first step, because I feel like previously we did not really talk about like mental health, and also when it comes to mental health and streaming. But now it's become a topic that everybody's kind of not shy to talk about, because normally they're afraid that people will say, oh, what are you talking about, suck it up, and then yeah, go live because I need my daily fix of content, right, or something like that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
actually
and
it's good that people are noticing this.
yeah, and people consider streaming still as something, done for fun, and something done for, without any effort. Just you just have to sit there and play your
Easy.
game, right? And that's it, easy stuff, yeah. But it's not, it's
Yeah,
not, and I think we just cannot, um, say it enough that it's definitely a hard job to do.
true, I agree. All right, Hesser, we're past the 1 hour mark. I don't want to keep you because I know it's your Friday off, so enjoy some time off. Put up your feet, get some rest. Unless you're hitting the gym, then enjoy that. And yeah, it was always a pleasure. As always, a pleasure talking to you. Finally, we got to sit down and actually talk about more about you. So the person behind all the translations, and also all the scripts and all that stuff. So yeah, you're amazing, and thank you for your hard work, and for like you're supporting me 100%. So thank you for that.
No, thank you for the opportunity. This is something I just can't say enough of this. That that was a one shot of glory. Just going to the CDPR, working with you guys, and having Repec actually find me. In the social media, and that was something unbelievable, and it still is.
True.
And yeah, that's just awesome. So thanks for that, guys.
Yeah, shout out to Repec. This is one of the best things that happened to us. You finding Hesser. The second thing is providing us with pizza during the streams, and the third thing is to actually have sauce with the pizza. So Hesser pizza sauce with sauce for pizza. So Hesser, you're number one. So yeah, yeah. Repek just said in chat it was one of the best days of his life. So I can totally agree with that one. All right, man. Awesome. It was awesome chatting with you. Thank you everybody in chat for interacting and watching this. We will be posting this episode to YouTube soon, probably still today. So for those that missed it, you can watch it there. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And bye.
Bye.